as well as everybody else that's joining
This meeting is being recorded.
Thank you, Tom. So we're, again, excited about their being here. We're going to talk the next 30 minutes, get a little bit of an idea of what goes in Life Gift, organ donation in Texas, and how that fits in with our faith. And this is going to be interactive. The second half, we're looking for questions and trying to make sure that you come out of here feeling good and educated. Hopefully you're having a good day, and we're hoping this next 30 minutes makes it even better, ideally. Okay. So with that, I'd want to introduce, is Kevin on? Kevin, are you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here. Hey, Mark.
Okay, I want to make sure. Kevin, the CEO, go ahead, sir, if you'd like to, of Life Gift.
Great. Thank you. I just want to welcome everybody. Just want to really appreciate you guys taking time to learn about organ and tissue donation tonight. So my name is Kevin Meyer, and I serve as president and CEO for Life Gift. I'm really, really thrilled to have this opportunity for Life Gift to partner up with Knights of Columbus. And we really appreciate all of you taking the time, especially on a Saturday evening, to learn about this very, very important topic. So this concept, this opportunity for helping others and offering hope through organ and tissue and eye donation and transplantation, it does cross and transcend gender, race, background, socioeconomic status, and so forth, all across so many communities. And it connects families in the most powerful way I've ever seen. We believe, and I think all of those who have been through this, even while there's such tragedy on one side, but there's also such joy and opportunity for second chances at life and rebirth and just getting back to life again. It's really the ultimate act of love and charity. And you're going to hear from Dr. Wood and others this evening to go through some of the details about this so you have an understanding. We hope through this education or this awareness raising that all of you, if you haven't registered as donors, you will take a few minutes and register the next time you go to the DPS to update your license, or you register online at donatelifetexas.org. So throughout the presentation, if there's any questions that you all have, please jump in. Mark, we're so grateful to you for always being there for us and, helping us, have these opportunities. And to the Knights of Columbus, we are so grateful. So it's good to see you guys, and hope you all have a good event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kevin. The one point I want to point, this is really a memory of one of our brothers, Rodney Williamson, Williamson, who really was a dedicated member for a number of years here at St. Martha's, and really loved so many people in this parish. And to really talk a little bit more about that, Rodney's wife, Ruth, is here to talk about it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to talk about my husband, Rodney, that he was diagnosed with a serious lung disease in 2017. It was called IPF, which is idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And it was the scarring of the lungs. And when the lung becomes hard, then it can't send oxygen to your heart. And if your heart can't send it to the rest of your body, it's not good. So at first, it was very hard for him to breathe. And then as time went on, he needed oxygen just about all the time. So he was really connected to the oxygen machine like 24/7. But he had an opportunity with many medical tests, and he was approved for a lung transplant. So this gave him 4 more years with our grown children, our spouses, and our 17 grandchildren to spend some time with them. So now we had time for, family holidays, vacations. We were able to go to the kids' sacraments, First Communion, confirmation, their graduations. And then his biggest blessing, though, was as the older grandchildren, as they graduated and they started their jobs in the working world, they would call him often to check in with him on different things. They loved to ask his advice, and he was very, very proud of how well they were doing. So, And of course, after 56 years of marriage, I was glad to have some extra time with him also. So, and we just want to thank the Knights of Columbus for this effort to educate people and the importance of being a donor, and encourage everyone to give the gift of life by being an organ donor. There are too many in need and not enough available. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. It's really appreciated. We also want to talk a little bit more, and it's a fourth grade night. Juan, do you want to go ahead and talk about your story?
I think you're muted, Juan.
There
we
you
go.
I'm Juan Contreras. I'm a fourth degree member of Council 16451 in St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Lubbock. I've been married to my wife for 40 years. We raised 3 children, Renee, Joseph, and Celeste. This is our story.
On a normal everyday trip to school one day, our daughter Celeste saw a billboard about organ donation. And she said to me, I would do that. I would want to be an organ donor.
Our Celeste was awesome. She was a giver of care, an animal lover, prodigal dancer. She wanted to be an actress. She'd light up a room with her smile.
On October 23rd, 2002, we were faced with saying goodbye to our 15-year-old only daughter. When Life Gift came to us to talk about donation, I remembered that conversation in the car and Celeste's words, I would do that.
After many prayers, we agreed to Celeste becoming an organ donor. Her heart went to a man in San Antonio. Her pancreas went to a doctor in Chicago. Her kidneys to men in Hereford and Lubbock. Her liver went to a 16-year-old Lori from Munster.
Doreen, Laura's mother, shared with me that when Laura received her new liver, the doctor said it was a perfect fit. With Life Gift's help in 2012, we met Laura and her family. Laura's now 36. She lives in Arlington. She teaches and she's married to Jeff. We gained a beautiful new family brought together by the miracle of organ donation.
I was blessed to walk Laura down the aisle with her on her wedding day. Alongside our father, Steve. Steve's a member of Knights of Columbus, 1459 in Munster, of Sacred Heart Catholic Church. I was named honorary father of the bride.
Doreen and I hugged and cried as we watched Laura and Juan do a traditional father-daughter dance. To honor Celeste, Laura carried Celeste's Junior Catholic Daughters of the Americas pin in her wedding bouquet. Since then, God and her angel Celeste have watched over Laura for almost 20 years. She's not had any transplant-related issues or health issues at all.
A few months before Celeste passed away, I was diagnosed with Hep C. Most likely from a blood transfusion from surgery in 1979. I was placed on a waiting list for a liver transplant in 2006. 7 years later, I was diagnosed with liver cancer.
Right before Juan's transplant, the doctors explained that his condition was critical. And if he didn't get a transplant soon, he didn't have much hope to survive.
On Good Friday, April 18th, 2014, out to dinner, I got the call. I was airlifted to Baylor Transplant Center in Dallas to prepare for my own transplant. I received my gift of life on April 19th. It was a difficult 8 hours surgery, and I had setbacks. Now 8 years, my new liver functions perfectly. I can't thank you enough. I can't say thank you enough to my donor and his family. By they saying yes to organ donation, I got to see my granddaughter graduate high school, and she's second year in UT Arlington. Our youngest granddaughter is now 14.
Now our family spends a lot of time helping Life Gift to promote organ donation. We take part in the Donate Life Texas Second Chance runs in Lubbock and Fort Worth. We travel to Fort Worth to be with Laura's family, and they travel here to Lubbock to join us for each walk. We carry a banner with Celeste's picture on it to honor her and all donors.
My brother and I support me and Life Gift by volunteering at Lubbock Second Chance Run.
Our words to that day on that everyday drive to school forever changed many, many lives. By her example, we learned about selfless giving, joy-filled receiving. We know the terrible loss, but we also know true joy.
We think about Celeste every day. We know that faith can bring you through the most difficult times. We have come full circle, and we know what it is to give and to receive the gift of life. Thank you.
Thank you for such a wonderful and heartfelt story. Our prayers are with you and your family, and we really want to thank you again for sharing that with us. Very special. Thank you very much, and God bless you. With that, we're going to continue on. I'm sorry we have to keep moving, but it's great. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do you want to make anything?
So we are very lucky to have our CMO at Life Gift join us today to go over what we do as an organization and how the process of transplantation works and answer a few questions. Dr. Wood is also the Executive Vice President for Life Gift. He started as a liver transplant surgeon in 1984, and then he pretty much brought liver transplantation to Houston and started the first program in 1991. So he's been associated with Life Gift since then, and he is great at what he does, and we are really grateful that he's taken the time to come here to chat with you guys. So take it away, Dr. Wood.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Well, I just want to say that I'm honored to be giving this talk tonight, and I'm really honored to be with Juan and Terry. And when I hear these stories from the donors, it just leaves me in awe of the generosity of individuals in the worst day of their life, that they are thinking about helping other people. And that's what this is all about. It really is the life-saving nature of organ transplantation. They've experienced it from both sides, and that's pretty remarkable. In an overview of Life Gift, our main job is to recover organs and tissues as well as eyes for transplantation and research. But we also support the grieving families during and after the donation process. We advocate for those who are on the waiting list, and there's over 108,000 people waiting for an organ transplant in this country. We offer hope to families through the opportunity of organ and tissue donation. Our job is to coordinate the organ and tissue recovery process with our donor hospitals and to get the organs to the correct transplant programs. We partner with hospitals to continually develop an optimal donation environment. We need to be working closely with our donor hospitals so that we can maximize the opportunities of recovering organs in those hospitals. And as we're doing tonight, we want to educate the public about the need for organ and tissue donation. Next slide. These are the hospitals that are in our actual service area. But we serve far more than this. We actually serve the entire country. Every OPO has to be associated with hospitals within their donation service area, but these organs can go anywhere. And we continue to have broader and broader sharing so that organs preferentially go to the sickest patient first. Next slide. Every 9 minutes, someone is added to the transplant waiting list, and 17 people die each day because they didn't get an organ fast enough. This is really the most frustrating part about being a transplant program, because the survival rate for recipients of organs is in excess of 75% at 5 years. And to have people die without even getting the opportunity is really tragic. There are over 10,000 fellow Texans on the waiting list. A single brain dead organ donor can save up to 8 lives. A single tissue donor can impact on up to 75 different lives. And 56% of Texans are actually on the Texas registry that Kevin mentioned earlier. So, but that means that 44% are not. Okay, so we need to really get into that population and to get those people to register. This shows you the need for donors and just shows you that you can get a heart, you can get lungs, and each lung can go to one of 2 patients, or both lungs can go to the same patient. You have a liver that you can split into 2 parts, and 2 people can be transplanted with 1 liver. Each of the kidney recipients usually only receives 1 of the 2 kidneys, and then we transplant small intestine and pancreas. So up to 8 lives saved with a single brain dead organ donor. And you can see the various tissues. As I mentioned, many people are helped by every tissue donation. And I always want to stress that if you are the child who needs a heart valve, that heart valve is going to have to come from a heart donor in a pediatric age group, because you can't put mechanical heart valves into pediatric patients. So in that circumstance, tissue donation is equally as life-saving as organ donation. Next slide. So one of 2 ways that you can become a donor, you can be on the registry, and then that is called first birth and authorization, and that is a legal document. And so if you sign up on the registry, you will be an organ donor. Or if you're not signed up, then your family will be asked to give authorization in that circumstance. In either case, we need a very detailed medical social history of the potential donor, because obviously we want to not only get the best quality organ, but we don't want to transmit anything from the donor to the recipient. So we want to know all those questions that we have to ask, and it's a long process. And I'm amazed that the families that have to go through this are very, very willing to share that information, so that we're ensuring our recipients of the organs that they're getting a good organ. Next slide. As an OPO, or an organ procurement organization, okay, we work with the medical staff of the hospital. We do not do brain death declaration. It's very clearly stated that the team that does the documentation of brain death cannot be associated with the transplant process. So we only take over the management of that patient after they've been declared brain dead. We run a variety of tests and diagnostics to evaluate organ suitability for transplantation. And we go through a number of clinical interventions to try to optimize organ function. We not only want to get you an organ, but we want to get you the best quality organ. Next slide. We have an organ recovery process. Once the patient is going to be moved to the operating room, we have LifeGift staff and our own recovery surgeons who recover the organs. We have transplant programs that will come in with their surgeons and recover organs for their particular transplant program. And we're involved with the OR nurses and the technicians and our friends from the anesthesia group. We have two different times we honor the donor. Before they leave the ICU, we have a moment of honor. And before we start the case in the operating room, we have a moment of silence, both to reflect the awesomeness of the gift that these individuals are willing to give. Next slide. The process is very, as I say, it goes all over the country. So we have planes and helicopters and ambulances and LifeGift vehicles. We're constantly in motion, sending individuals to recover organs all across the country. We are limited, again, by how long the organs can stay out of the body. The heart can stay out for 4 to 6 hours before it has to be into the recipient. Lungs, 6 to 10 hours. Livers, 8 to 12 hours. And pancreas is 12 to 18 hours. And kidneys are put on a pump, and so they can go up to 48 hours. Next slide.
And Doctor, I know you have to run, but these are some questions we want to start the process here. We have for a few more minutes, but to start it out, I know you already talked about brain dead, and there's a separation between the treating physician as well as the organ recovery team. But what does LifeGift do to ensure, again, because this is critical for us, we believe obviously the soul leaves the body.
As I mentioned, the team that does the declaration is not involved with the transplant process, but we will review the brain death note to make sure it meets our criteria. We work with the American Academy of Neurology, and they have certain recommendations. And so we make sure that that brain death note was done, the brain death testing was done correctly, and the note documents all of that. So there has never been a case that I'm aware of somebody that was confirmed dead, not being dead.
So again, that's a clearly, there's a double check is your point.
Yes.
For that to occur. How can we trust that the wishes are going to be respected? So I know in some cases, some people may not want all the organs to be donated, just certain ones. And How is that kind of communicated or done?
The best thing is to go on the registry, okay, and you can do it through the DPS, or you can also go online, as Kevin mentioned, and you can be selective in which organs or tissues you wish to donate. And so we have to, that's a legal document, and we will look at that. And if you don't want to donate your heart, we will not recover the heart in that circumstance. And so again, these are legal documents, and we have access to the registries all across the country. So it doesn't matter if you register in Texas or you register in California, we can find you on the registry and see what exactly you wish to donate.
Another question here too is obviously questions about open casket. I know it's a surgical removal, but can you clarify about that you can still have an open casket? If that's
There is no reason that you can't have an open casket if you're an organ and tissue donor. We are very cautious about making sure that incisions are placed in areas that won't be exposed if you're in an open casket. And so there's absolutely no reason that you should not be able to have an open casket if you're an organ donor.
And again, I know you kind of answered this, but I want to just double check. The treatment team is different than the organ recovery team. And so again, if I'm in a coma registered donor, there is no conflict of interest or conflict of objectives during that process. Is that right?
That's correct. The team that's taking care of you does not have any idea what your registry status is at that point in time. They're taking care of you because you're their patient, and their goal is to get you well and get you home. They don't know whether you're on the registry or not. That doesn't happen until LifeGift gets involved in the process and the patient is having brain death testing.
So you're being clinically considered to be passed, and at that point in time is when LifeGift would get involved. Okay. How do I know that if I'm receiving organs, right, that I'm also getting ones that are through this process? Is there any?
We do extensive testing of all the donors. We run what they call serologies, which are tests for various infectious diseases to make sure that liver does not have hepatitis or something else that would be transmissible to the recipient. So we are very cautious about this. And if we think there's any risk to the recipient, then we may not proceed ahead with the donation process, such as if the donor has an overwhelming infection, we would not want to transmit that to the multiple recipients. And that might be a reason that we do not recover organs in that particular patient.
One more quick question before we open it up to the audience for some more, if they'd like. And I appreciate your time, Dr. Give us just a few more minutes.
Absolutely. I'm in no hurry.
Okay, just want to make sure. How do we ensure that my doctor, right, and my family respect my wishes? What's your experience? Even though I know you've been doing this for 40 years, what's the best way to make sure everybody's on the same page?
You have two routes, okay? You want to talk to your family, okay? Because even if you're on the registry, you want to let them know you're on the registry so that they're not surprised to find out that you're on the registry. And you want to talk to your family if you decide not to go on the registry, but you still want to be a donor for whatever reason. Your family will be making that decision, and they should be acquiescing to your wishes at that point in time. So we really want to make sure, and of course, if you have a will and you want to put a durable power of attorney for medical decision making, okay, that would be another way to make sure that everyone will know what your wishes are.
For questions in the audience, yeah, and I'll repeat it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have it through the state of Texas on my driver's license. I don't think I've ever filled out a form.
All right, so the question is, it's on my driver's license, but he does not believe he ever filled out a form. Does it make sense for him to fill out the form, or how do we validate that the donation?
Exactly. Yes, the DPS is doing the best they can to get you to sign up to be an organ donor, but it is still best if you go online and go through the form that is there so that you can be more selective in what you wish to donate in that circumstance. You may want to be an organ donor and not a tissue donor. You may want to be an organ and tissue donor, but not an eye donor. So I would recommend that everybody go online, take you about 5 to 10 minutes at the most, and make sure that you have selected what you exactly want to donate.
We have that web at the end of this, but also Leslie has brought by, actual physical forms today. Well,
Yep.
Go ahead, your question.
Another question. So you hear of people giving one of their kidneys up. They're not anywhere near dead. They just give up a kidney.
So how does it work if you're still obviously alive and you give up one of your kidneys for a family member or something like that? How does that work, Doctor?
Living donation is the best way to donate to your loved one to get a kidney transplant. The waiting time for people on the cadaveric waiting list, waiting for a brain dead organ donor, is sometimes up to 5 to 6 years. But you can have a living donor transplant quite rapidly. And we did about 7,000 living donors last year, kidney donors. but we can do far more than that. And so I would strongly recommend anybody who has kidney disease should be looking to have one of their relatives act as a living donor. The operation is done now laparoscopically, so it leaves very tiny scars, and your healthcare team will follow you forever. And the likelihood that you would go on to go into kidney failure is extremely remote. So it's a very safe procedure, and it's the best way for your loved one to get off the kidney donor waiting list.
And if I can add to that too, that's actually, I'm a kidney recipient and I've received a donation from my dad. He was a living donor for me. So, and I feel great. So you have 2 kidneys and you really only need 1 medically.
Other questions here? This is, the buck stops with Dr. Wood here in Houston. This is your chance. I'm sorry, right behind you first, then we'll go to, go ahead.
So I am registered, I believe, but I have no recollection of what I chose. How do I find my registry and review it? And what if I want to revoke something?
So the question for Dr. Wood, just so he can hear, she's registered, but he forgot what it's all about and what did she sign years ago. I'm probably in the same boat as you. So how can we validate what, you know, our wishes?
Check your registration.
Yeah, how's that work? How can you check your registration?
You want to go online to Donate Life Texas and check that you're on the registry first of all, and then, as I said, then you can be very selective on what you can check everything, or you can check very selectively. So if you went on 4 or 5 years ago, it makes logical sense to go on and make sure that there's not been a computer glitch or something else, and make sure that your wishes are known on the computer.
Good.
So if you heard Dr. Wood, he was saying you can go to the Donate Life Texas registry website and search just your name and see what your status is on there. And you can go in and alter it if you want to change what you'd like to donate as well. Mm-hmm.
Good, man.
And then in relationship
Yes.
to that other question, so do you then make a copy of this and have it available for your family, your physician, bring it to the hospital with you?
So yeah, the question is, once you're registered, doctor, does it make sense to, how do you communicate that? Is it going to a living will? Do you want to make sure your family has a copy of it? Do you carry it around with you with your insurance card? I mean, how does this work?
Well, you have the notification on your license that you're on the registry, okay, because that's where you get the heart. But it's important, again, to talk to your family, okay, because if they don't know you're registered, they may be surprised to find out you're registered, and that creates conflict and the potential for conflict at the time that you're in the ICU and you're being declared dead. You want the family to be totally on board and understand that this was your wish and they would want to follow your wishes. So talk to your family, and get on the registry.
I think they just talk to your family, talk to your family. Yeah. Well, now we're getting a ton more questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, after this, I will talk to my kids who are some are over 18 about this. But if a parent, we're have to have, God forbid, an adult child die and they don't have any spouse or anything like that, can they make the organ donation, or is that not?
So the thing is that if your child were to pass, adult child were to pass, could you make that decision for them if you were their parents?
There is a hierarchy that is very clearly stated in the Uniform Anatomical Gift Act of who can give authorization, and it goes sequentially down a list of about 12 different people that can be the potential person to give authorization. So yes, in that circumstance, you can actually be on the registry as a 16-year-old when you get your first driver's license, but we would still in that circumstance ask the family's permission for donation, and not just go by the registry status, but at least you know that your loved one, your 16-year-old loved one wanted to be a donor in that circumstance.
And that would also apply if the child is over, not child, now adult is over 18.
Would that also apply if the child was over 18? Let's say they were 25 years old, but had nobody else around them, but now
yes, if you are their living relative and you're the parents and they're not married, then you would be the first one up at that point in time to make the decision on donation.
So it's also important to talk to your family about that. So it's good.
Absolutely.
Yep, one more, go ahead.
Yeah, my wife and I are both listed as donors, but let's say I die tomorrow. What is the first thing that happens? Because I won't be here, so I won't know.
So the question, yeah.
What gets, who calls who? what happened?
Yeah, I'm a donor and my wife's a donor, but if I were to die first, can you walk us through what really happens process-wise? So my wife would have an understanding of what's going to happen next.
Right, we would access the registry to ensure that you are a registered donor. We would look at what organs you've agreed to donate, agreed to donate tissue, and then we would do a thorough evaluation of each organ. Just because you said you wanted to donate your heart, if you're now 65 years old and you have heart disease, you probably won't be a heart donor in that circumstance. So, we are going to, even though you said you would donate your heart, you may not be able to based on medical decisions on whether you're a suitable candidate or not. But I want to stress that there are no age limits for donors. So our oldest donor was a 93-year-old who was able to donate a liver. And our youngest donor was a premature infant who suffered a brain injury, and was able to donate kidneys.
So with that would be someone from Life Gift would immediately be talking to my spouse to say what the process is and what might be coming next to make sure.
What we would do is we would get a call from the hospital saying there is a person who might be a potential organ donor. We would send somebody on site to evaluate that individual. If they appeared to be an appropriate donor, then we would approach the family. We don't bother the families in that circumstance. Their loved one is critically ill in the ICU, and it may not be the appropriate time to even bring up organ donation in that circumstance. So we become involved in the process when we are invited to be involved by the healthcare team, and it appears that that person is a suitable donor of organs.
Perfect, doctor. Thank you. We really appreciate it. Wait, we got it. He's got to run and play one more. How's that? Is that okay? Go ahead, ma'am.
What happens if you die at home?
What happens if you die at home, not in a hospital? If it was, or your accident.
If you end up at the medical examiner's office for whatever reason, you could be a tissue donor. But once your heart stops, if you're not in a healthcare facility, you cannot be an organ donor because you have to have your heart beating while we do the evaluation that whether you're a suitable candidate for organ donation. But you can do tissue after death, and it depends if the body's refrigerated. We can recover tissues up to 24 hours after the person has expired.
It's perfect.
I want to make sure I got that right. So if you're not in the hospital, if I'm in a wreck and I die, and the only thing they can use is tissue.
Correct, because as he said, unless the heart is continuing to beat and it's in a medical facility, they really can't access your organs.
Wow.
Can we thank the doctor here? I mean, we're way over in time, and these guys are busy, by the way, as we've learned earlier. So we really want to thank you, Dr. Wood. By the way, you've done this a few times for me over the last 20 years. I really want to thank you for your efforts.
Well, it's an honor to be here. It really is. I mean, I'm honored to work with the donor families, and I'm honored to work with your organ, the Knights of Columbus. It really is an honor to share this message. I've been doing this since 1984, and it awes me every day that we are able to take organs out of somebody who suffered a catastrophic brain injury, put them in an ice cooler and fly across the country, and they work. That's pretty amazing.
Well, again, thank you, Doctor, very much. We appreciate it. We just got a couple more things to mention, everybody here, as we close. One is just a reminder, and this is from Pope Benedict, the act of love, which is expressed with the gift of one's own vital organs, is genuine testament of charity that knows how to look beyond death so that life always wins. The recipient should be aware of the value of this gesture that one receives of a gift that goes beyond the therapeutic benefit. What they receive is a testament of love, and it should give rise to the response equally generous, and in this way grows the culture of gift and gratitude from Pope Benedict. And this is also, we want to thank Mariel for including this slide, and this is her slide. She wanted to make sure you guys recognize this is actually in the catechism. So organ transplants are in conformity with the moral law, the physical, psychological dangers and risks to the donor are proportionate to the good it sought to the recipient. Organ donation after death is a noble and, I can't say that, but
Wonderful act.
wonderful act. Thank you. Thank you. And is to be encouraged as an expression of genuine solidarity. Shameless plug for those that want to stay healthy. You have two opportunities to make a difference with and by the way, this is also a walk as much as there's a run for many people. But if you are interested, it's a 5K. I usually do the November one with my daughter, who's a doctor at Methodist, and somehow I get shanghaied into that one every year. So just FYI. It's important. Yes, go ahead, Tara.
I have a question. So if the audience here has additional questions that they think of later on, is there a place to go?
Yep,
Yes.
it's coming right here. So let's go to the next one. Yes, obviously it's the nights you can get online to talk about us. And if you're interested in becoming a night, we're always interested in talking with you. But this lady right here is our contact for current questions, future questions. 5 years from now, you have a question, you want to contact Leslie. She will be our contact. And it's a great opportunity to now have this connection for anybody, neighbors, friends, anybody has a thought about this and wants to get the information. We're not trying to say, again, we're trying to sell anybody on a concept, but get the facts and pray on it, make your own decisions accordingly.
The
So-
most important thing is making an educated decision to become an organ donor.
And if you are to talk to your family, talk to your family, talk to your family. I think it's
So
great.
did you say that Leslie has you have paperwork with you for us? to fill out?
I do, if you're interested in registering. I also have my business cards that I can give out if you guys want to stay in touch for any
And
reason.
I
And
have another question. If you had been a cancer patient and you're way past the healing process, can you still be an organ donor?
yes, it depends. So they'll test the body to make sure that the cancer hasn't spread to those specific areas. But they can also, if somebody is, HIV positive, they can donate to other HIV positive recipients as well. So yeah, you can become a donor. Absolutely. It's up to like for me, I know they're probably not going to want my kidneys after I die because they don't work and I only have my dad's. But I put on their kidney donor as well, just to leave it up to their medical discretion if there's anything they can salvage.
One last thank you to everybody who's online. I can't, in putting this together, the various councils throughout Texas getting involved and wanting to be part of this presentation and listening in on this. I want to thank you for your support and being part of this. Everybody that's here, Dr. Wood, of course, Kevin, as always, Dagmar, thank you for your continued work. And we wouldn't be anywhere without this lady here as well.
Thanks.
And Mariel, who was on the Spanish side, and Ruth, again. And we want to really thank Juan and his family as well, again, for the lovely story and bringing it home. So,
And if you guys have, I know I'm not Dr. Wood and I don't have that experience, but if you guys have any other questions about donation, I can do my best to answer them too.
all right. Well, for those that are at home, please have a cup of coffee on us because we're going to have one here. We've got a lot of coffee and snacks. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, everyone.